I'd like to put an immediate trigger warning on this video for grooming, manipulation, soliciting inappropriate content from minors, as well as very uncomfortable sexual conversations between a 35-year-old man and a 16-year-old girl that I'll show through many horrifying screenshots of Snapchats and audio clips. I'll be short with the introduction. YandereDev, or Alex, is a 35-year-old man popular for his never-finished game Yandere Simulator. He's a character that's always been at the butt of jokes regarding his awful coding skills and the awful content in his game. He's been in multiple questionable controversies involving minors, as well as the sexualization of minors in his own game. However, even with this, he's maintained a very large following of many fans, some, despite the content of his game, being minors. This is how he groomed and manipulated a 16-year-old girl, having many suggestive and sexual conversations with her that are pitiful and disgusting. The victim recorded some of their conversations and shared them with friends. One friend who was concerned by what they saw shared their concern with the victim, and the two ended up reaching out to a content creator, alot, in the recent summer. Over time, they gathered evidence and hours of interviews to prepare to make a video exposing what YandereDev was doing. That video was planned to be released on the 22nd of September. However, shortly before the 22nd, one of the friends involved in the making of the video posted a TikTok with snippets of the video with the victim's permission. The snippets went viral, causing chaos in the community, and Alex would go on to do anything he could to have the video shelved and the audio clips deleted, using an ungodly amount of guilt-tripping and manipulation and dramatics that you will see shortly. Eventually, the video would get released. The screenshots that I'm about to go through are from the video made by alot that at the time of this recording has just recently been taken down from YouTube because of a false copyright strike from YandereDev himself. As of right now, it seems as if YandereDev is actively trying to water down the situation, is possibly still manipulating the victim and copyright striking the video to help cover up the story. This is the reason I'm making this video, because after reading and hearing these conversations, Sit can't even begin to describe how I feel, and the fact that he's still actively fighting to hide the story is also disgusting and has to be fought back against. This is a battle he can't win because the screenshots are out and spreading like wildfire. I'm going to take you through them in order. And it's a lot, so please bear with me as I try to read these horrible quotes. I may stutter my words, but I'm not going to heavily edit this video. I'm more focused on getting this out in a timely manner because I think this evidence needs to be sitting out in the public front and center. First of all, I'm going to go through these voice recordings, then the Snapchat messages that were shown in Ali's video. Once again, trigger warning for grooming, manipulation, sexual talk about minors, private body parts, and more. This is a 35-year-old man talking to a 16-year-old girl, and it honestly makes me sick to listen to and read. So if you're sensitive to any of these topics, please take caution as we go through them. In the array of multiple recorded conversations, we can hear Yandere talking to the victim in a seriously flirty way that's very uncomfortable. In one conversation, the victim asks if Yandere talks to other girls his age, which he responds with, "Wouldn't it make me a bad guy if I did?" And then shortly asking her, "Am I a bad guy for talking to you? Should I stop talking to you?" With this heavy age gap and heavy power imbalance, she's not able to understand the situation she's in, and he understands that fully, which is why he asks this question, knowing she'll tell him what he wants to hear. When she asks if they could call later sometime, he says, "Maybe. I had fun. You're funny. It's fun to listen to you talk." She asks, "What if I'm not high next time?" And he responds, "I want to learn what regular you is like, but high you is very cute and funny." In more conversations, Yandere continues to call her cute, at one point saying, "If you don't want to be called cute, then stop being so cute. It's simple logic." The now deleted video then goes to a conversation that seems to be talking about male genital size, with Yandere saying, "And I thought it was normal." Again, talking about genital size with a 16-year-old. This conversation would go on very long, but moving on to a different conversation where she jokes about an OnlyFans, he responds asking, "Let's say I hypothetically had an OnlyFans. What would I post? Naked pictures of me?" Before she finishes her answer, he asks, "When you turn 18, are you going to start an OnlyFans?" He covers this up as a type of gotcha moment or joke. However, we'll see a repetitive cycle of him constantly insinuating very specific things while acting as if he's not actually insinuating said things or covering them up as a joke. You'll see what I mean going on. Moving on to another conversation where the victim is talking to him about a man's height and joking about him being just under 6 feet, he then shifts the tone of conversation to a sexual one, saying, "Well, what if I told you I'm only interested in girls with double D breasts, and anything else is just less attractive?" Again, making a very suggestive comment and shifting the tone of conversation while hiding it as some sort of gotcha moment or joke. He further elaborates he likes them big as a girl's head. Later on, he learns the breast size of this minor and asks if it's because of her body type, going on to say, "Yeah, you're very skinny, and that's kind of hot." He continues with, "Sorry, am I a bad guy for saying that? Should I go die?" Again, a leading question, fishing for pity, knowing he'll get what he wants to hear. When she tells him what he wants to hear, which is no, he presses further, asking, "Am I a bad guy?" in the most condescending, creepy tone of voice. This is another pattern we will regularly see throughout his manipulation of the victim in the story as a whole. It's a constant pattern in which he pretends to recognize what he's doing while watering it down at the same time, acting as if what he's doing isn't grooming, just breaking a little social norm and seeking pity for how bad he feels about it. Again, keep watching. The pattern will get increasingly more obvious as we go on. In another convo, he asks, "If I'm a virgin, does that make me a pathetic loser?" When she answers his question with more questions, he asks, "You want to steal my first time?" "Well, I'm not very experienced with ladies." Yeah, we can clearly tell. Now we have more context as to why you're talking to a 16-year-old girl like this. There's another convo that just drives the absurdity of the situation into our faces, as they have a brief talk about how long YandereDev has been making his game. When he tells her that he started in 2014, she says, "Oh geez, I was like 7? Wow, I was 7. Ugh." To which he responds, "You're funny." Yandere should have already been an adult and stopped these conversations a while ago. But if there was anything that should have slapped him in the face and made him stop doing this, it was this comment. The reason I say this is because later, Yandere will make a blog post about why he had these conversations and why he didn't stop them immediately, which I'll get into later. They then go on to talk about the characters in his games and their ages. In this conversation, she asks why the girls in his game all seem so young and in high school, but they're officially labeled as 18. He tells her they're only labeled this way so he doesn't get in trouble for sexualizing minors. Remember, this game was already banned from Twitch before release because it involves heavy sexualization of schoolgirls, including sexually harassing and assaulting the girls for in-game tokens. The victim jokes about sounding like a creep if you argue for sexualizing minors, to which Yandere replies, "Mother Nature sexualizes minors. Puberty starts to give children butts and breasts before they turn 18. It's not like a person does this to a child. The child's own body does it to themselves." This comment was particularly awful to listen to. I actually felt a little sick as he said this. I'm pretty sure the shit that he's saying would get you stoned in some certain places. He's basically saying it's in the natural order of things for minors to be sexualized because of puberty. And it's not him that's sexualizing them, but nature itself. So technically, he's in the clear. Actually, he doesn't even say minors. He uses the word children. Absolutely fucking vile. And he keeps on going and going with this idea, but we've already heard plenty from this conversation. There are more conversations where he randomly mentions masturbation when she talks about weekly challenges on Phasmophobia. There's other conversations where she also asks about the many allegations of interacting with children in problematic ways and asking if they're true, if there's been other girls before her, which he rants about for a while about how they were false and not true and there were never any other girls before her. Remember this. In the now deleted video, there's also a recording of the victim calling YandereDev and him answering, leading to the conversations that would take place. This is to prove that this is in fact YandereDev's official account speaking and not a fake account, which is important for another cover tactic he tries to pull later. I mentioned there were audio clips of Ali MC's video that were leaked before the video released. Because of this, Yandere would find out about the video before its release, leading to a scramble of desperate conversations in which Alex would try to manipulate the victim into forcing the video and the story to stay silent. These are the screenshots of the conversations, first starting before the audio clips are leaked. In the first screenshot, we see him in conversation with the 16-year-old victim, tiptoeing around what he's doing, questioning if it's really grooming. It is, saying, "If I wait 2 years and then try again, does it count as grooming?" When she says she thinks so and explains the absurdity of the situation, he replies, "But if I say, 'Whoa, don't say that until you're 18, the subtle change in phrasing makes it not grooming?" In another text conversation, she gets new clothes and he says he'll look forward to the videos. When she replies asking him if he means videos of her being undressed and putting them on, he replies, "That would be super erotic, seeing you dress and undress," which is already disgusting, but the convo goes even further. I cut some things out because there's some personal information about the victim that is being shown, including their living situation, and right now the victim needs all the privacy they can get. Deeper into the conversation, he tries to justify this behavior using some form of groomer math, saying 17 is 94.4% of 18. So therefore, being attracted to a 17-year-old girl is 94.4% okay. And it's not a black and white thing, since aging is a slow transformation over time. 1, what the fuck? 2, she's not 17, she's still 16. And 3, that doesn't matter because the age of consent is 18 and this is a grown-ass 35-year-old man. He then agrees as the victim questions the age of consent and says, well, unfortunately, the law exists and laws are laws. When the victim tells him he won't have to worry about cops, he says, yeah, but what if you turn on me? Remember this, because at no point is he concerned that what he's doing is wrong. He's concerned that he may be found out if she comes to her senses. After more reassurance from her, he says he won't take a trip to go meet her, so the only thing he can get out of this are pictures to enjoy. When she says she'll be happy to supply him those pictures, he replies with, oh, heart, I would keep it a secret. When she seems on board, he goes on to say, well, I'm going to not specifically say, send me nudes, please, but, well, I like hot ladies. Are you starting to pick up on this pattern of ask for something but cover it up as something insincere? Later, after some more back and forth, the victim sends 2 messages, which he replayed multiple times, responding, oh wow, that was so hot. With the context, I'm sure you can assume what those images probably contained. All of this is sickening, but I'm talking about this because later on, Yandere will go on to severely downplay what happened, never mention asking for pictures or receiving pictures, or any of the other evidence that shows here. And he also goes on to manipulate the victim to support his claim. And this is the beginning of the end. The screenshots that come next are after the audio clips get leaked, and YandereDev catches wind of the fact he's being exposed. At this point, the victim would have already been talking with Ali and her friend for a while now, slowly being told how wrong this truly is. She's beginning to understand how messed up this relationship is, with him being 35 and her being 16. This is when Alex starts to try to appeal to her emotions and beg not to release anything about their relationship. He tells her that he is a nice, lonely, miserable person, and not a person who goes around R-wording little girls. He's just a sad little man who likes a girl who's a little bit too young. First of all, this isn't a comparison. You can't say, oh, I didn't R-word anyone, it was only grooming. You still deserve jail time. And second, she is a bit too young is a serious understatement. She's 16 in high school. This is a grown-ass man who is 35 years old. And like her was not all he did. We saw the previous conversations. He tells her how much he's panicking over this as he tries to tell her to get the audio clips taken down. She asks him if they could talk in VC, which he declines out of fear of being recorded, to which she tells him that she easily could record these messages as well, so that doesn't matter. He says he hasn't done anything villainous in these texts, which he most definitely already has, trying to pull out every grooming and manipulation tactic available you can on a 16-year-old girl, and also asking her for a nude and things like that. That's pretty fucking villainous. He also says, this is fucked up, and I don't deserve this. He definitely deserves this. She says, I don't feel like you do either. I feel like I'm exposing a boyfriend, but you're 35, and you have a lot of weird views. He goes on to pull full dramatics, asking her, please spare my life. I don't deserve to lose everything, absolutely everything, forever. Remember what I said about using dramatics about pity as manipulation? Remember, this is a 16-year-old girl he's talking to, and he's already putting the weight of his entire world on her shoulders, blaming her for what he could possibly lose from his own actions. When she says she doesn't know what to do, he replies, this should be an easy call, insinuating she must stop the video and get the audio clips taken down. He continues the manipulation, saying, this is actually the worst thing that has ever happened in my life. She says, I'm sorry, and he continues saying, nothing else compares. She apologizes again, and he responds with, if you were genuinely sorry, you'd save me. He's still trying to manipulate her to the end. What the fuck? Save me? Like, the fuck is this? Jaws? Save him. He's not drowning in blood-infested water. He's drowning in his own disgusting shit. He continues trying to say anything to stop her from releasing things and get the audio taken down, still trying to use that power imbalance he has. And speaking of power imbalance, wait for what comes next. He continues to plead with her, and she says she doesn't get anything from saving him from his own act. But what about other girls? What if he's lying? He doesn't deny the accusation that he lied about what really happened and simply says, please don't do this to me, which is scary. This doesn't prove that the previous accusations were true, but it's very strange that instead of denying they're false like he so heartily did previously, now that there's a video coming out, he simply says, "Please don't do this to me." He continues saying he doesn't think he traumatized anyone. She responds saying she doesn't feel traumatized, but in 10 years she might. Then what? Again, the victim has been working with others on this video for some time now, and in that time she's probably received some form of counseling from her temporary peers, which explains her sudden shift in tone. She may be echoing the words of another that helped her realize how wrong this is. What comes next from Alex actually made me shout "no fucking way" out loud as I read these screenshots. He says, "You're the one traumatizing me. This here is trauma. This is abuse. This is power imbalance. I am being emotionally abused by you," says the groomer, actively trying to manipulate the 16-year-old into feeling bad she was getting groomed by the 35-year-old man. She tells him, "I'm 16. Couldn't have said it any better." He responds with, "You have this massive blackmail over me." She tells him, "You're 35. Couldn't have said it any better." He says, "Yes, but you're the one with the loaded gun." And she heartbreakingly replies, "I was a fan." And he says, "I can do nothing to you." It's absurd how Alex, this 35-year-old man who's sat atop of this strange fan base, is trying to flip this power imbalance on a 16-year-old fan. And she is traumatizing him by coming out for what he is doing. At this point, he's a broken record again, saying how he's done nothing wrong, a girl has flirted to him, and he texted back. That's the extent of the situation. Texting back is not the extent of the situation. He continues by saying, "I am not an evil and traumatizing predator." She responds with, "You're really persuasive. I'm sorry, I think you're right. I'll talk to Bug right now and let him know. But I need to contemplate the stuff with Allie." Bug being the friend who leaked the audio. Here we can see the manipulation starting to chip away at the victim, making her feel guilty. Feeling like he's starting to see success with his manipulation tactics, he says, "I will be eternally grateful to you if you save my life. There is good in you. You can make the right decision." The dramatics that he's going through in order to rip his victim apart is insane. He is once again putting the entire weight of his world on her shoulders, as if this were all her fault. These are his actions. She replies, "Would you? What would you do?" He responds, "Well, first I will need some time to calm down from the worst experience of my life." Next, the victim seems to be taking pictures of Bug's text about not taking down the audio, to which Alex begins coaching her on what to say as a response. He tells her to say, "I know what the laws say, but I don't want to risk it. This is my decision as the victim." It's crazy how he tells her it's her decision as the victim as he manipulates the victim to not make her own decisions. She says, "I don't know," but he continues, telling her to say, "It's my recording, so it's my decision to make, not yours." He continues telling her, "You can be forceful with him, make it clear that your word is final and he does not have a say in the matter." Holy shit. She responds, "Dev, I don't like this. This is textbook grooming," which it is. This is textbook grooming. He responds, "After this experience, I will never talk to a minor again for the rest of my life." Doubtful. "No, after this experience, you should never leave a jail cell for the rest of your life." He continues, "This is anti-grooming." "This is anti-grooming," says the groomer, who is still actively in the process of grooming. The rest of the screenshot reads, "I am trying to convince a minor to stop being entangled with my life, so this is as far from possible as grooming." If anything, he's doing the opposite by still contacting the minor and stopping the minor from releasing the video that would expose YandereDev and put a stop to everything. He goes on more to try to explain why he's not a groomer as he tries to play down everything that's happening. He says, "Grooming is like, mwahaha, I will ensure I fuck this girl when she turns 18. She calls him out on his bullshit again with, "And you were just casually flirting with and engaging in sexual stuff with a minor, not planning to get with me when I turn 18? He finishes with, "Meanwhile, here's me being like, damn, I'm lonely and this girl is the only person on earth who is nice to me, but I'm starting to get a little too comfortable with this. I don't know." First of all, I never saw an "I don't know," especially when he was, talking about genital size, breast size, getting nudes from the minor, or when he said, "You want to steal my first time?" And second off, there he goes, still trying to play the pity party to manipulate her. Also, back to what he said about not being a groomer and giving his own narrowed down example of what a groomer is, The simple definition of grooming is the practice of preparing or training someone for a particular purpose or activity. A more specific definition of grooming is when someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person so they can manipulate, exploit, and abuse them. With both of these definitions, we can clearly see throughout this sickening timeline of audio and screenshots that he is conditioning her to send certain things, shifting conversations into sexual directions, talking about breast sizes, virginity, and more with this 16-year-old girl. This is grooming. This is textbook grooming. Oh my gosh. I put the trigger warning in the beginning of this video for a reason. He didn't stop there though. He's still trying his best to damage control, saying, a groomer would have tried so hard to spend time with you, play Phasmophobia with you, show you on webcam, etc. Instead, I avoided those things. I was distant because I prefer to be very distant from any minors or grooming behavior and not engage in it even 1%. She says, yeah, very distant. He keeps going with, I feel that this establishes that I am not an evil villain with dirty intentions. A real predator jumps at the chance to ensnare a minor, whereas I was distant as hell. And guys, this is important to know. Just because someone didn't do the final, disgusting act or didn't take it as far as others could have, crimes are still crimes. Grooming is still grooming. As she said to him once again for like the third or fourth time, this is textbook grooming. She again tells him, I talked to Bug. We'll see, I guess. Allie's asleep, so I'll wait for tomorrow to talk about this. Sorry for stressing you out. He types, ... stress. She says, sorry for panicking you and almost ruining your life. He responds, my future is still in grave danger, but I appreciate your effort to prevent the video. After she apologizes once more, he says, as long as you take steps to reverse what is happening, everything will be okay in the end. Oh my gosh. Every word he types is so painful to read because it is just dripping with the most awful, vile, manipulative dramatics, as if some unfathomable tragedy has spontaneously come down to smite him down, when really this is the consequences of his own actions. Throughout it all, he keeps trying to place everything on her shoulders, and this is just awful. In a final, pitiful, desperate attempt, Alex says, I'm going to delete Snapchat now, but there is something I want to ask you, but I know you probably won't do it. Which, okay, cool, don't ask then, just delete Snapchat. But no, he finishes with, please say I lied, none of it was real. I asked my friend to use a YandereDev AI voice changer. That's not actually his voice. Please don't actually release any video. The evidence is all fake. Sad doesn't even begin to describe it. Again, we already have the screenshot of his account that responded to all of these calls. This is just sad. This is just shit. But what's even worse is it worked on the victim, because of Alex's constant guilt tripping and grooming tactics, she actually ends up telling Allie not to publish the video and backing out of everything, saying it wasn't as bad as it actually was, which after seeing the screenshots, we already can see it was clearly bad. And Alex's words are clearly getting to her. But the leaked audio was not taken down. More and more people asked for context, and the video was released. Alex would then go on to make a statement that he posted on September 25th titled, I'm sorry, period. This statement is the statement I mentioned in the beginning, where he downplays everything, uses the tactic we've already seen him do multiple times, where he admits to something that does not paint the entire picture as it is, and then proceeds to play the pity party over and over again, acting as if he made a small mistake and that's it to it. The statement reads, Hi, you have probably heard some really concerning stuff over the last few days. You might have seen a video that has left you feeling worried, disappointed, and wondering what I have to say for myself. There's a part of me that wants to say, no, you don't understand. The video was edited in an extremely dishonest and misleading way, blah, 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 blah. But no, I'm not going to focus on that. There's a part of me that wants to do what I usually do and type out a massive essay where I over-explain absolutely every single detail about the entire situation, provide context to absolutely everything, go point by point down the list of every possible fact that could make the situation easier to understand. But no, I'm not going to do that. This isn't a blog post about how, actually, you see, I didn't really do anything that bad if you consider all the facts. I'm just going to take accountability and own up to a really, really, really Huge fucking mistake I made. Already in that statement, remember one of the common things he did where he insinuated something while pulling back and saying, no, I'm not actually saying that. We already see him do it 3 times. He is insinuating, no, you don't understand, the video was editing. But he knows people won't buy that. He knows they won't take that shit. He knows that saying, no, you don't understand, the video was edited in an extremely dishonest way is not going to work. It's not gonna work. And he's just trying to take this route where he's like, no, I'm not gonna go that way. I'm gonna own up to what I really did. Already in the statement, he frames it as if there's a lot of misdirection that's painting him in a bad light, but nah, he's not gonna focus it on it too hard. He could break down every point by point, but he's not gonna do that for the viewer's sake. In this post, he's gonna tell you everything how it actually happened like a grown man should. 1, he's not going to break things down point by point because if he did, he'd probably expose himself even more than he already has been. And 2, he's trying to paint himself in some moral light of owning up to one's mistake while proceeding to downplay everything that has happened. His statement continues, a few months back, a fan of the game DM'd me and wanted to chat. I normally just turn fans away and tell them I'm busy, but in this case, the fan seemed really funny and interesting, so I agreed to talk. After around 2 months, I agreed to do a voice chat with her. Right off the bat, she let me know she was 16. At the time, I didn't even perceive this as a problem. He should have perceived this as a problem. But back to the statement, what do I care about what her age is? She's just a funny fan of the game who wants to talk to me. This is no big deal. I rationalized to myself that it was fine. This was massive mistake number 1, more to follow. We talked for a while, and eventually I started to feel really comfortable speaking to her. I started talking to her the same way I would speak to any of my other friends, like she was just one of the guys. I made the same type of vulgar jokes that I make when voice chatting with my other friends. This was an absolutely unacceptable mistake. No grown-up should ever use adult language or make adult jokes in the presence of a minor just because I feel really comfortable talking to them. That doesn't make it okay. That's not an excuse in the slightest. It's incredible because you can already see how he's watering down what happened. He didn't just make jokes. He insinuated what he wanted, and in some cases, he got what he wanted. We've already seen that he's not talking to her like just one of the guys. This is so disgusting. Occasionally, back to statement, occasionally she would say something flirty towards me. Most of the time, I would shut that down immediately and refuse to reciprocate. However, there were times when I didn't shut it down and let her talk to me the way without stopping her. Obviously, it goes without saying that this was absolutely not fucking okay. This was the point in time when I should have instantly disengaged and ended all contact with her. No, the point you should have disengaged and ended all contact was before it happened when you found out you were talking to a minor. But back to the statement. In any interaction between an adult and a minor, it is the adult's responsibility to put an immediate stop to any inappropriate behavior. There is absolutely no excuse for tolerating this as if it were okay. I didn't want to be a buzzkill, or I didn't want to ruin the vibes, or we were just having a lighthearted, jokey conversation. It didn't really feel like anything wrong was happening. These are not acceptable excuses in the slightest. Once again, watch as he makes excuses that he implies are his excuses, while then saying, but no, those aren't acceptable. Oh my gosh, it's just a fucking headache. Notice how he never mentions that he did bring up flirty talk. He did reciprocate. In fact, he would further conversations. But no, he only mentions the time she got flirty with him. And according to Alex, he shut it down most of the time. Continuing the statement, he says, at some point, she started recording our conversation so that she could share my jokes with her friends. However, one of her friends interpreted my remarks as showing sexual interest in her. They convinced her that I was trying to groom her and that she should release all recordings to expose me. Her friend pressured her into providing the recordings to a drama YouTuber who began producing a video about the situation. A preview of the video revealed that the intention of the video would be to characterize me as some predator/groomer by presenting clips of the conversation that sounded sexual. Obviously, it doesn't matter how the recordings were made public because the entire situation should have never happened in the first place. I am just explaining why such a video even exists. Alrighty. Here, he's saying that she didn't even want to talk about this because it wasn't even that bad. Her friends are the ones that pressured her to do it. they gave the recordings to some drama YouTuber. It's important to notice here that instead of saying the name of Ali's channel, he simply says drama YouTuber. This is a clear attempt to discredit the video by, instead of referring to the person, putting a negative label over their name, drama YouTuber. He also says the preview of the video tried to characterize him as a groomer by presenting clips of the conversation that sounded sexual. I don't know, shifting a conversation randomly into breast sizes and "do you want to steal my first time" seems sexual. Also, when the minor says that they'd provide you with sexual photos and you say, "Oh, heart, I'll keep it a secret," that's pretty sexual. The statement goes on saying, "Watching the recordings of the way I interacted with her has been mortifying for me. I keep thinking, I actually did that, and you damn idiot, whenever I'm reminded of something inappropriate that I said in conversation with her. I'm not going to spend a million years blabbering at this point, but I want you to know that I've been kicking myself non-stop since this situation happened. I feel disgust and disappointed in myself on a level that I have never experienced before in my entire life." Which, yes, he should. He's trying to gain sympathy by saying, "Hey guys, I actually do feel bad about the fact I groomed this minor." Like, no, that doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't change what you said. And also, watch as he's saying that he's in disbelief, that he can't believe he saw himself doing that. The way he's wording this is as if he's trying to twist it into, like, this was some separate type of self. He's saying, like, this isn't me, guys, without actually saying it. He goes on to say, "I was foolish, extremely damn foolish for me to think to myself that it was possible to rationalize an adult becoming friends with a minor, because no matter what the adult's intentions are in the beginning. There are so many potential things that can go wrong involving an adult and a minor alone together that the scenario should never even be allowed to happen in the first place, not to mention the inherent power imbalance, etc. I could write out every single reason why an adult and a minor can't have a meaningful relationship, but then this blog post would be twice as long. If you're able to write down every reason why this is wrong, why were you not able to write down any of those reasons until you got called out?" This behavior would have kept continuing. It was going strong until these audio clips got released, and then he continued the manipulation tactics. And only now is he saying, "Oh, I could list every single reason. Trust me, guys, I understand this is wrong." No, he doesn't care this is wrong. He cares he got caught. This is damage control. Oh, the statement keeps on going, saying, "Over the years, a lot of people have contacted me to tell me how they look up to me, that they admire me, that I inspired them. Right now, I'm thinking about all the people who have ever said those words to me, and I realize that my actions have completely invalidated their words. No, someone who makes this kind of mind-numbingly stupid mistake is not admirable or inspiring. I let the fans down," I keep on saying to myself over and over. Years of trying my best to prove that I'm not the bad guy that people say I am, and then I go and screw up so badly that I've retroactively vindicated some of the hate that has been directed at me. It's ironic. I've always tried so hard to disprove that hateful remarks that people make about me by doing the opposite of what they expect of me. For example, if people say I'm lazy, I respond by working more hours than usual. If people say I'm greedy, I respond by turning down opportunities to make money. If people say I'm interested in minors, I respond by adding rules to my Discord server to actively discourage minors from participating. At every turn, I try my absolute best to disprove every ignorant, hateful, false accusation that people make about me." Can you see it? Can you see it, guys? If you look closely, you can still see the tire tracks of the pity bus that runs all over this fucking statement. The dramatics and the watering down of the situation, this is not a real apology. This is him saying, "Oh no, you looked up to me, your hero, your knight in shining armor. I made every possible right turn. But here I made let's go back to it, a mind-numbingly stupid mistake." A mistake, not a crime, a mistake. I feel so stupid. How could you ever forgive me? The dramatics continue with his finishing words, "And now look what I've gone and done. Instead of doing everything in my power to disprove the allegations that I'm not attracted to kids, I made some remarks that sound really, really, really fucking questionable. I'm not even going to say, it only sounds that bad because it's out of context. If only you had the context, you'd understand that it wasn't so bad. I'm just going to own up to this one. The fact that it even happened at all is bad, regardless of context. There's no excuse. It is an outright fuck up, pure and simple. Once again, he is making an excuse, trying to say it's only bad because it's out of context, but then saying, oh, but I'm not going to go that route, knowing that no one would accept it. Oh my gosh. He goes on, finally saying, after that video went public, some of the game's volunteers started receiving harassment and abusive messages. Several of them have already contacted me to inform me they can no longer be associated with me and my project and want me to remove their assets from the game. I get it. There's a part of me that wants to profusely beg them to reconsider, but whatever they decide, I'm going to respect their wishes. It's one thing to make a stupid mistake. Once again, it's not a mistake, but moving on. It's one thing to make a stupid mistake that results in self-humiliation. It's another thing to make a mistake that affects all people who associate with me. However, it's a mistake on an entirely different level to make a mistake that involves an inappropriate interaction with a minor. At this point in time, it's difficult to determine exactly how much this is going to impact the development of a Yandere simulator. If I have to replace huge numbers of assets, hundreds of voice-acted lines, for example, I won't lie, that's going to be a pretty big setback. I really only have myself to blame for it, though. For what it's worth, I'd like to make you aware of the fact that the fan I spoke to has expressed her feelings in the situation. You can find her post here, and he links a Reddit post that is apparently the victim's feeling on the situation, which the fact that this is even linked in his statement already gives me very bad vibes. Finally, he says, I feel like it's going to take a really long time for me to forgive myself for such a stupid mistake, but at the first step, I've donated $1,000 to RAIN, an organization that provides care and benefits to survivors of abuse. Jesus. Once again, I love how he does the I'm not going to say XYZ is what happened, while heavily implying XYZ is what actually happened all throughout this video. This kind of reminds you of something, doesn't it? Also, he takes all this time to try to reel in more pity about the awful game that he was never going to finish anyways. He also posts a statement from the victim that backs up his claims about how the situation went down. I'm going to read this post from the victim. Honestly, the fact that it's even linked here is scary to me. He's basically just saying, like, hey, look, guys, the victim isn't mad at me. And then he also has the screenshots of the 1,000 he donated to RAIN. Actually, there is one final statement after this RAIN screenshot that I missed. He says, I know that it does not inherently wash away my bad decisions, but I hope it demonstrates that I'm willing to do whatever feels necessary to begin atoning for my mistakes. I'd like to apologize to my volunteers, to my fans, and to anyone that has ever called themselves my friend. I'm truly and sincerely sorry. Actions speak louder than words, though, so I'm going to try my hardest to grow as much as I can from this and make absolutely sure that nothing even remotely similar happens to this in the future. Edit, please don't bash the fan who DM'd me. That's the last thing I want. Oh my gosh. Okay, whatever. Let's move on to the statement of the victim. This is posted by the victim on Reddit, and it seems it was deleted a few times, and someone else re-uploaded it for them, which already adds to the shade factor that is already highly insane. But this statement reads, so you've already seen a TikTok claiming that Dev groomed a minor, and there's video recordings of it. I'm the minor, and I'd like to give my side of the story. First off, here's proof of my identity, same voice as the TikTok claiming that Dev is grooming a minor. I messaged Dev because I'm a fan. He usually doesn't do voice calls, but after 2 months he finally agreed. He was so distant at first, but eventually he loosened up and started making jokes. Some of his jokes were so quotable, like anja. Anyway, okay, continuing the statement. So I started recording our conversations so I could make soundboard buttons out of Dev's quotes. I wasn't really trying to bait him into saying bad things, but I did ask him suspicious questions to hear weird/funny answers. Like sometimes I ask topics about age of consent because it's an inside joke between me and my friends. If he gave a silly answer, I would share it with my friends. One friend took some of his quotes way too seriously and started saying that he sounds like a predator and that we need to expose him. Okay, pause. Your friends were right. He is a predator that needs to be exposed. And also, people are going to go on to try to say, oh, this minor was baiting him into saying all these weird things. This minor was saying all these sexual things. This is a 16-year-old girl. High school. she's probably taking calculus or something, maybe pre-algebra. Like, this is not her fault. The 35-year-old grown-ass man should know better to stop, to say no. But we're past that point. We've been way past that point for a while. Continuing her statement, she says, I have a hard time saying no, so I agreed to do what he said. I showed every recording to a YouTuber named Ali, and she started making a full video out of it. When Bug, the friend, started sharing clips of the video on TikTok, I realized that he was twisting it. In the video, Ali made it seem like Dev sought me out and called me, which isn't true. I DM'd him first. I called him, not the other way around. Again, it doesn't matter who reached out, as he is the 35-year-old... never mind. Continuing the statement. I decided that the whole thing was blowing up in a really stupid way and told everyone involved that I didn't want them to use my illegally taken recordings to make a video anymore. Ali really wants to release the video though, so she keeps trying to manipulate me into thinking that I am a grooming victim. She is. She is a victim. This isn't manipulation. Alex has manipulated her into thinking the people who are helping her are the people who are grooming and manipulating her. Oh, it's so fucked. It's all of his attempts worked. It worked on her. They were successful. He turned her against the people trying to help her. It continues, even after I revoked my consent and told her to stop multiple times, she still plans to release the video. Girls at school saw the TikToks and they recognized my voice, so now the stuff has spilled over into my real life. Ali says she is making the video to protect victims, but if she releases the video, things will just get worse for me at school and hurt his career. I keep trying to say all of this in their subreddit, but they ban me and delete my threads when I do. It's ironic that they call this place North Reddit, but they're silencing me just because I'm not supporting their narrative. Here are screenshots of the times when I told Ali not to use any of my recordings, and she totally ignored my wishes. Note the super manipulative language she uses. So gross. I'll pause to show the screenshots and the manipulative words in question. Ali is right to think that the victim's sudden hesitance is due to outside factors. We saw in those texts what was happening to her. He was going through insane lengths to manipulate her, and it worked. He changed her mind. The emotional hoops he had her jump through was actually insane. Finishing her statement, she says, I do not think that Dev is a groomer. I do not feel traumatized by him, and I am making this post to say that I oppose what Ali is doing. And no matter what she does to try to protect my identity, she is still harming me by releasing this video. They then make an edit saying, I got access to my accounts, but I've been blocked by the creators of the threads and that subreddit. People who claim to be my friends and say they care about me are silencing me on purpose. And then another edit where the original Reddit post is linked, which I will also show. This post was the one that was originally deleted, and it's much shorter. We can see that even in this final post, there are other tactics Yandere used to try to manipulate the victim into pulling back. Her saying these videos were recorded illegally and he could take me to court, not that he's going to, but he could, reads back to the eerily similar patterns that he would use, insinuating that there are certain things he can do, but heavily implying he will. Also, we have a screenshot of her saying that he was threatening to take this to court. What's even more awful is that in the comments of this Reddit post that is linked in Yandere's statement, there are people who are genuinely saying things like, I'm not surprised people are trying to make Dev look like a horrible person. The YouTuber is just clout chasing, trying to smear Yandere's name. No means no. This YouTuber should not have gone behind your back and posted this. Reading this shit is scary because these people don't understand the sheer weight of the situation. YandereDev groomed this 13-year-old girl and had her jumping through emotional hoops. Ali stated in her video that she worked with the victim every step of the way. She was given multiple interviews with the victim, hours of interviews. She stated that she was even going to originally leave the option of, are we going to post the video or not, to the victim. But once she caught wind of the fact Yandere was still manipulating her and influencing her words, she moved forward with the video. This was also the wish of other victims who were present near the end of the video's production. And the fact that there were other victims playing a part in this now deleted video makes me believe that there's more coming out. I feel terrible for the victim. She's confused and she doesn't know what's right or wrong. She's drowning in this emotional shitstorm of manipulation, this awful web weaved around her.
I pray that there's someone to support her through this. However, to say Ali is making things worse for them is just naive. Who says Yandere's grooming would have stopped? Who says that it was even the singular victim who was being groomed? Yandere himself had conversations with her about previous girls, at first saying no, there was nothing, but then later on when she says that he could have lied, he doesn't even deny it. I believe Ali and the victim's friend were correct in continuing forward. As someone who has experience working with children ages 10 to 18, and even sometimes 8 to 10, I would have done the same thing. In the field of being a counselor working with children, there is something called mandatory reporting. In taking the job of being responsible for the children, you become a mandatory reporter. Any concerning behaviors that hint at things like sexual harassment, assault, or any type of grooming taking place must be reported. The reason this is a thing is because far too many times adults have not reported these warning signs, either out of ignorance or negligence, or the victim just begging them not to, only for the situation to get worse, to escalate, to develop, when it could have been stopped in its tracks. Don't get me wrong, I understand Ali is not contractually obligated to be a mandatory reporter, nor is the victim's friend who is presumably around a similar age. But they both understood what staying silent could entail. Will things be chaotic when the truth comes out? Yes, it will be very messy, especially when dealing with YandereDev, a guy who's so desperate to twist the narrative and has such a large online, weird, awful presence with an impressionable audience. However, imagine if the victim's friend never voiced concern, or Ali actually did shelf the video. Yandere already panicked and said that there would never be another time he speaks to a minor after he got wind of things, so it would be fine, right? Do you really believe that? He gets the victim to stay silent one time. What's stopping him from thinking he can do it again? Especially since he knows that it was her showing messages to her friend that sparked the fuse. He would manipulate her to stay more silent this time. Be more careful. Who knows where it goes from there? Hell, we don't even know for sure if he's cut communication with her now, in the present. Seeing the Reddit post, it seems as if his words are still influencing her. But let's say we naively assume maybe he does stop. Maybe he cuts off all communications with her. What stops him from attaching to a new victim? He said himself he takes so many countermeasures to ensure he never gets put in an uncomfortable situation to end up grooming minors or being accused of grooming them. Yet, he still finds himself shit deep in this situation. Now, if he silenced one victim and wriggled his way out of trouble, why wouldn't he try again? We cannot give abusers the benefit of a doubt. We cannot simply trust them to stop. If someone was going so far as to engage in these conversations with a 16-year-old and manipulate her so far to the point where she is drowning in this sea of manipulation, they don't deserve to get a chance to sweep it under the rug. They deserve to get called out. This isn't a forgive and forget situation. At the time I started this video, I didn't know why Ali's video had been removed, but now I know it is because of a copyright strike, which just shows that Yandere is still actively trying to cover up the situation. He is watering things down, and for some of his fans, it is working, and that is not okay. This needs to be out front and center, and this needs to be stopped, because if he's not held accountable, if he's not watched like a hawk, if he really does keep on trying to wriggle his way out of this, he is going to eventually continue this behavior. But regardless, my only concern is with the victims who's clearly mentally ripped apart from this and still might be being actively manipulated by Yandere. I also have concern for the other victims we haven't even heard from yet. I'm also concerned for the other minors who are Yandere's fans, who may believe Yandere is downplaying and may still look up to him. All right, this was long. This was painful. I wouldn't be surprised if more came out. But thank you for watching. Remember, abusers have to be held accountable. I'll see you.